it's great to be here with you all. I just feel like I'm right with my group. And it feels good. We certainly had a big rain this morning. Thought we were all going to get washed away. One thing I would like you all to walk away with today is a positive and excited attitude towards flower design. I hear so many times when someone says in the club, flower show, and you hear, oh. And it can be fun, it can be exciting, it's stretching yourself. Don't think of it as a dread. How can you get to a point where you are enjoying the process? I kind of narrowed it down to 3 things that you could do to help yourself with all of this. One is educate yourself, which is what you do here, listening and growing. Expose yourself to designs. And the best place in the world today to do that is on Pinterest. Everybody gets Pinterest, I'm sure. They have zillions. Yes, zillions of designs. There is no reason
I'm doing it now.
On earth why you can't look at those designs and then create something from that yourself. So, and the third thing is practice. None of you would consider being in a piano recital after just practicing a piece one time. There's just not enough experience there. So volunteer to do arrangements. Make little arrangements for yourself, for your house, for someone else's party. Put yourself in a position where you're using your talents and you're practicing mechanics, all of that. When asked to do this program, I was asked to explain how a flower show judge does her judging. It takes 5 years to become a flower show judge, and you have to enter a lot of flower shows, you have to get blue ribbons, and you go to classes for 5 years. And then you're a student judge, and you practice judging, you go to seminars after you become a judge. It is pretty vigorous process, and you learn to speak the language. I think that is, you might be able to look at something and say, yeah, that's nice, that's okay, but you don't know in your head what it is that makes you feel okay about that design. But once you learn the terms and the language of design, then you're able to go through the process. And you have points, let's say it's on just this level of design itself. There might be 40 points for that. And you see, the materials aren't real fresh. Well, that's not a whole 40 points off. That might be 5 points. And then you work through all those processes. So a judge is not just someone who says, I like that, I don't like that, I like that. There really is and there's always 3 judges, so there's an odd number that 2 will be against the third one. All 3 could agree, but you have a couple that will agree and go with that.
Can I ask what
Yes.
are some of the categories, like freshness and design?
I got that. That's my next thing.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
Number 1 is evaluating the principles of design. And this always sounds like gobbledygook, but these are the basis of design. Any arrangement you have, whether it's balanced, is there dominance, contrasts, rhythm, proportion, and scale. So those are the principles of design. And that's what you need when you finish your design. Before you take it to the flower show, you need to consider those 6 principles. And no, it's not going to be, again, 100% off, but there might be little subtractions you take off as you go down that list. The next thing,
would you mind repeating those 5
okay.
principles?
balance,
Mhm.
dominance,
Mhm.
contrast, rhythm, proportion, and scale.
What is the difference between proportion and
That's the
scale?
same, it's the same thing.
Oh, they're pretty close. They're pretty close. I didn't really actually literally write the definitions of all of those down, but they actually are often grouped together, proportion and scale, as one word. So, the second thing that is considered as far as is creativity. Is it creative? And you can judge that yourself. The third thing is, does it give a strong visual impact? Strong visual impact. That would be something all of you could keep in mind when you're doing these designs. Then I wrote some steps down on just how to start your design. And know your space. Now, for a lot of you, this is rudimentary and you already know this, but there's always new members and we need to go over these things over and over again. Know your space, your depth, your width, your height. Know how it will be viewed. Is it going to be viewed from the front, from all sides, is it on the floor, from the floor up? Fit your spot. Make sure that it fits nicely in your assigned area. Don't overfill it or underfill it. Second thing I go with is find something that inspires you. And I left this out to say this is a great example of inspiration. A neighbor was closing up a house and they had this for sale for 50 pesos. And the flower arranger and me said, yes, I have to have that. Nobody else wanted it. Nobody else would want this, but I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. So it can be a bunch of sticks. It can be a stick, not too dominant, but let's see. Okay, it can be a container. Your container can be your inspiration. You don't want it to be too dominant. You don't want it to be, usually white, they say don't use. Now I find every rule is made to be broken, so if you do it right, it's okay. Hot pink. Container should usually be about a third of the overall design. That's approximate, don't get hung up on it. But, you want your container to enhance your design. Then the third thing is your choice of flowers. Make them unique, dominant, handsome, fresh. Have them make a statement in themselves. Tropicals are always great, and we are blessed with those here. So that's orchids, birds of paradise, calla lilies, croton leaves, anthurium, Casablanca lilies. The next thing I do is organize my design, and I do that by making little sketches. And these don't have to be great drawings. These are like, that's a rose, that's a stick. But it kind of gives you an idea of how you can balance it and what you're building with that design. Be creative with your design, whimsical, adventuresome. Practice in advance. Know your flowers, and I hear frequently someone will say something like, well, will that flower hold up in a flower show? Get one, cut it, stick it in water a month before the flower show, and you'll know if it's going to hold up or not. You don't have to question that. and practice the mechanics. The mechanics are the hardest part of it all, particularly if you're doing a little bit of a creative design. So practice in advance. Okay, now I'm gonna put my designs together. I apologize if my flowers aren't super fresh, which would be judged down on. Look to Floral. I don't know if this is fitting in there. What does it look like from the front? That's, oh, I got it backwards.
Okay, yeah, okay. Still looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, there we go. This goes in front of a little container. I can go with that. It's like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna look at it. See how pretty that graceful that branch is, that wood, in creating that design. This is, these would be some words that would be used in describing it. It's creative, fluid, clean, graceful. I hope. Okay, this is the next one. This one's kind of wild and crazy. It's dramatic, daring, bold. I really struggled with this one the whole time because of that turquoise paint and the gold. And I kept thinking that those orange birds of paradise are going to be the contrast needed to make it work. If I had used a white flower, but it needed that orange. So, and this is kind of a fun one. I had fun with this. It's unique. I found this is out of a palm tree. And it was just the structure I needed to create this design. It's a controlled, I call it a controlled freedom. Shows originality, sculptural qualities, and it's graceful. Okay, these are my three. This one is sort of a negative. Not so good design. It's a small mass. It's a weak design. It doesn't have a. It's stiff. Little variation in color, and not super exciting. Now I like it too because I love pink. Anything that's pink is okay with me. So someone was saying, my daughter was saying she was having to decorate the offices, and she said they need to be cheerful and something else. And she said, what would you use? And I said, well, I would use pink. Not really, because nobody else is going to like that. That's just mine. So another thing, I remember as I put this together, an old flower show judge, mentor of mine, used to say, don't use purple in a design, because they look like, from a distance, they look like holes. They're dark holes. Some kind of an interesting bit of knowledge. The last and the least it's actually harder to make bad arrangements than the good ones. Containers too dominant with all that plant material. If you got up close, you would see it's really poor. No rhythm. It's kind of disturbing and choppy. And there was nothing in the back that gave it dimension, depth. It was flat on the back. All of these designs, except for this one, but you need to finish them. It's not the same as the front, but you need to give flowers that create depth. So, stay positive, have fun, help each other. You're a great group of women. This club is about sisterhood, helping each other to be better and better in friendship and flower arranging. So be sure to do that. That's it. No, I can't say it's common. I just came up with this design in my head and decided to go for it. I don't, there have been flower shows though where art has been in. Did we have one here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Diane had one in a frame, remember last year?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
But no, I can't say this is super common. I just one morning I got up and I got excited about it. I was drawing it and I had these leaves coming out the side. But that's what you want to some degree, is to do things that aren't common. You want to stretch yourself and do a few things that are beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
think that was fun.
I'm doing that as we speak.
Carrie is actually, she has videoed the whole presentation, and Janet is photographing it right now.
I'd probably be thrilled if I got that one that she said was really
No,
crappy.
It is,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
definitely
it is Bonnie. Bonnie?
They were so positive with them.
Thank you, Linda.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. It's wonderful to see.
Great, thank you very much too. I enjoyed it.
We really appreciate your help.
Sure.
It's great. Would you consider being a guest presenter at the
Yes, I would. I would do that.
On the show?
Yeah.
We're talking about something for sale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Actually,
What did she say? She was,
so I had thought about it a little bit.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
You're
that she
welcome.
would come back.
Thank you, that's a
No,
smile.
she'll be a guest